So I was reading this study that came out, and it was done by a very reputable sports gambling website.
Flash picks.
That said that the number one NFL stadium for a zombie apocalypse is right here.
State Farm Stadium
is the best place.
Yep.
So Phoenix New Times, I happened to see on, they put out a thread. It said, where in Arizona is the best place to survive a zombie apocalypse? Let us know in the replies. And then they tag the story as well. So the replies are this. They go anywhere from the trolley ones, like anywhere outside of Arizona. The question is where in Arizona? They go anywhere outside of Arizona. The zombies are already among us. Who are they saying? Who are the zombies? What is that? Okay. This is why nobody invites you.
Politicians or something?
This is why nobody invites you to their parties. Yeah. Dude, whatever. Somebody else says Fashion Square. Would you go to Fashion Square? Are zombies repelled by Donna Karan and Louis Vuitton?
No.
No?
No, I'm not going there.
Montezuma's Castle. Anything else is madness. All right, I like that one. I'm thinking to go as remote as you can and live off the land. That's from Sherry. Sherry's onto something. Oscar says the edge of the superstitions. Either they can't climb that high or they go around, they're falling. I can survive the desert. All right, so he's getting remote location. I like that. Let me see. Another one says Cardinal Stadium. I think they were just answering the only question. Now, here's the one that I liked. Vern. He thinks like an old man, like me. He says, I would take over the Costco distribution center. Hard-pressed to think of a location other than a distribution center which would have pretty much everything you need.
Don't you need guns and stuff, though?
Well, you need security. Glad you brought that up. Security is on the second level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I started thinking about what are the best places. When you are considering the best place for survival, whether it's zombies, which obviously it's not going to be, but societal breakdown, apocalypse, if we go to war and suddenly the normal status quo no longer matters, you have to start looking at the basics for humans to survive. And that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which lays out on the base level air, food, water, shelter, sleep, and clothing. For a man to survive, he's got to have all of those things. Take those away, and a man will die. Right? Second level. I'm going to put this 1A if we're talking about a zombie apocalypse. Things like security and health, resources, and an area that you can protect. All right? This is essential. And then you can get on to community building. In the early days of the breakdown of society, you got to start someplace with a lot of resources, and I'm even going to say a lot of people, because there's strength in numbers. If you're unsure of who the enemy is, strength in numbers. But it's tough because I hate people. Costco or Amazon distribution center is a solid choice. I was talking with another person in the newsroom, Kate Orda, and she said, don't go to the big box stores. That's insanity. She says, because people are the biggest danger. I don't disagree with her. So this is a personal choice.
Yeah, I think fewer people.
You're going to have to take a day or two to formulate a plan.
You've already taken a day.
No, I'm telling you, once it happens, then things are in flux.
Oh.
You can't come up with an actual plan ahead of time because you don't know what the circumstances are going to be.
Okay.
Let's say your plan was to go to the distribution center, and it's a nuclear bomb that hit the distribution center. Now what's your plan? You better be able to think on your feet.
Probably die.
You're going to have to be patient enough to think clearly, but not so patient as to become a sitting target, because society will break down, and you don't want to be a part of that. So you formulate your plan. You get yourself a full tank of gas and a large vehicle. You pack extra cans of fuel, and you make your way to an aircraft carrier.
Got it.
All right?
Okay.
Because an aircraft carrier can live at sea on nuclear power for a long time, and the problem is they probably won't allow you or me on there because we're not military.
Aircraft carrier.
All right. Second choice, cruise ship. All right? Because you got to get away from the zombies or any other threats. And again, this could change based on whatever the circumstances are.
Right.
Right. I mean, suppose that we're being attacked by sea. You don't want to be out there.
No.
All right. But if it's zombies, you got to get out to sea. Ultimately, though, and again, if it's zombies, you got to get to an island. Because zombies are terrible swimmers. No movie has ever shown zombies to be Michael Phelps. That doesn't happen. Island life offers you security, and if it's in a comfortable climate, you have a copious opportunity for gardening. A lot of small islands off the coast of Southern California, that allows for that, but be careful because some of those islands are currently inhibited and could be overrun by zombies. If you go to Catalina, you're probably going to get eaten. All right?
Don't want that.
And you need to be thinking about fortification locales or isolated locales, preferably both. Alcatraz might be a winner. Island, isolated, and fortified. Finding an area that also has wildlife is a bonus because then you have meats and proteins. But you're going to have to think about this. You're returning to a primitive lifestyle. If society breaks down, that means that things go back to the basics. It's going to drive my wife crazy because there's not going to be any TikTok after day 3. No more. Truths of an apocalypse. The strong survive.
Yes.
The titans of today are the slaves in an apocalypse. Street smarts are more valuable than boardroom smarts because nobody cares about your hedges or your leveraged buyouts or your accounting tricks anymore. We don't care. The rule of law breaks down. Doctors are instantly valuable. But beyond that, it's those that can get dirty that are the strongest allies.
I'm in trouble.
Your host.
You gave me an idea earlier in the show, though.
And?
You ready for my whole plan?
Okay.
2 steps.
All right.
1, buddy up with RoboCop. 2, forage.
You're done.
To survive the zombie apocalypse,
Our
you're telling
stadium.
me State Farm Stadium,
Yes.
numero uno.
Yes.
Wow, how did it do so well?
It has some advantages in that it has limited ingress and egress, and it only has a few large
Entry and exit points?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It also has a retractable roof,
Oh,
so you can kind of control if zombies are able to get onto the roof. You can close it, but also you can open that up to allow for sunlight to come onto the hybrid field where you can actually plant crops and create resources and be sustainable.
now you're more the cinephile and you take in more TV than I do.
Watch a lot of movies.
So that's good. That's important because I reluctantly watched a couple episodes of Walking Dead. My roommate wouldn't shut it off.
Nothing reluctant about that. Go ahead.
I was subjected to it. How are zombies going to get on the roof at State Farm Stadium? They can just crawl up the side? I thought zombies were kind of stupid but vicious.
They are, but if they are on an airplane that's flying overhead,
Are they can fly?
they just don't die.
They can get in a plane and fly.
If
Okay.
they're in the plane when the zombie outbreak happens,
Oh.
they could be overhead and
I
then
see.
out
Okay.
the door they go,
I understand.
right?
Yeah.
Landing on top.
But State Farm Stadium, again, retractable roof, so we can shut that sucker.
Yeah. Also, they
And-
can pile on top of each other and create, like, for instance, World War Z. They ended up just crawling over each other until they were able to get over the walls.
I didn't see
So
that.
they created a human mound of
Zombie.
living dead. Right. And then they just think of it like a giant cheerleader pyramid until they get so high that they're able to crawl over the top.
Of zombies.
Yes. It depends on which zombies we're talking about. If it's World War Z zombies, if it's Walking Dead zombies, or this, and it's a little unfair, they're bringing up Last of Us, which are not actually zombies, but they're basically zombies.
Didn't see that one either.
It's pretty good.
You watch a lot of movies.
Well, this is a TV show.
Oh, okay.
It's very good.
Oh, that's the one that's on now.
Yes.
I heard there was a very big episode a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Had like the whole country captivated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also another benefit of State Farm Stadium, grass and turf.
Yeah, that's what I said. Hybrid. You can plant crops.
Grow some
Or you were
crops.
worried about how zombies are flying.
I
Pay attention here. This is why you get left behind.
I'm just overwhelmed.
You're bait.
Oh no.
Yep. We're throwing you out
Who
as
decides
bait.
that?
You know, there is actually value to these hypothetical scenarios. And I know it sounds like we're being super silly here. We kind of are. By the way, number 1 means we're better than the Rams. So take that. Okay? Did you want to know about any of the others? Because I know Lambeau was on there.
No.
You didn't?
No, we're the best.
Okay.
Where was Ford Field in our motherland?
So it's funny you say that because I went looking for the source material. I can't find the source material. I saw this reported in a number of places, which means that somebody put out a press release. I looked for the press release, couldn't find the press release.
That's how you know Flash Picks is reputable.
It's really good stuff. I know that last place is another NFC West team. It's Seattle Seahawks. Lumen Field, last place you want to be for a zombie apocalypse. You're toast. Lambeau is number 2. Camaro Head for the Kansas City Chiefs, number 3. M&T in Baltimore. And then nobody wants to be there. I'd rather be eaten by zombies than live in Cleveland. So they're top 5. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. There is value to this. And I want you to consider if we ever find ourselves in a scenario where we have a societal breakdown, or do we have a situation where we have, remember early on in the pandemic when we really didn't know what COVID was capable of.
Well,
a lot of people like to look at COVID in retrospect with hindsight, and they go, I don't know why we had to wear these masks. I don't know why we had to do this social distance, because we didn't know.
It's funny you say that, but do you know what they were doing at State Farm Stadium when COVID first kind of broke out?
No.
That's where they were doing some of the first shot clinics.
Okay.
Was at State Farm Stadium.
Good place for it.
I believe they had, like, overnight, some of the first frontline workers were showing up there.
The CDC actually had a plan in 2011. It was Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. And I remember covering this on the radio, and I thought, we could make fun of this, that they're having a zombie apocalypse. It's a guide for how to survive the zombie apocalypse from the CDC, from the federal government, right? But they said, listen, it's legit. Not because we're going to have a zombie outbreak. Nobody believes that zombies that we're going to have a bunch of dead people walking around.
But more likely anarchy?
Any sort of, yes. I mean, it could be a societal breakdown. It could be war. What do we do in a dystopian future? It could be pandemic. What do we do if, I mean, heaven forbid, Ebola ends up becoming flesh-eating virus and is airborne, right? I mean, I saw Outbreak. I see a lot of movies. So there are reasons that you could create a hypothetical scenario and you can have some fun with it. Otherwise, you definitely want to create mass casualty incident plans. And if you talk with any emergency group, talk with any fire department, talk with any police department, they all have mass casualty incident plans because they don't know what the next thing is. What happens if you have a school bus of children roll over or get in a car accident? You got a mass casualty incident. What happens? We just saw this yesterday. What happens if a Cessna is flying in the fog and misses the runway and ends up crashing through into a neighborhood?
Is that what happened in San Diego?
Just happened in San Diego. Yeah. That's a mass casualty incident. How many people are injured? How are we going to triage these people? Where are they going? If it happens here, what are the hospitals that can accept them? If it happens here, what are the places that can go? How do we do these things? It's reasonable to have exercises like this, especially when you're talking about the CDC that deals with things on a mass scale. It's reasonable to have exercises and go, if there is something that goes wrong, suppose that Canada invades us, right?
Yeah.
All right. I know you're
Russia.
Okay.
Sure.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Suppose that there's an invasion here, and all of a sudden we've got people who are going, I'm not even worried about work. I don't care what the stock market is doing. I got people pointing missiles at me. Because I can tell you the people in Kyiv aren't super worried about the U.S. stock market right now. They're worried about, what's that sound? Why is the siren going off again? You know? So these are the things I think it's reasonable to have these exercises. And as such, I think it's important that we all go through our own planning and preparation.
Good thing I've been running a lot since you seem to be convinced I will be bait.
You better run.
I'm ready to run. You know, all I do is run.
Tying you up, keeping you behind me.
No, you don't tie me up.
Remember this.
I'm bait.
You don't have to be fast.
Oh.
You just have to be faster than the slowest guy.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.